So Lisa, thank you for joining me at LSI.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have another West Coaster. I mean, another East Coaster out on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm based in, I'm from the Midwest originally, but I've been out here for 20 years. I'm based in the Bay Area.
Well, I'm talking about Simatica.
Oh, yeah. Simatica is based in Providence,
Yeah.
Rhode Island.
I love that place. It's like a
Yeah.
playground. I'm at Geek Engineer,
Yeah.
so I think I've been in there because of Randy Barco and I
yeah.
are on Mathematics board.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I love running around in there. It's the best.
Yes, we've got everything all under one roof in like 80,000 square feet. So you can sort of walk through product development all the way from focus groups to 3D printing rooms to contract manufacturing, engineering, human-centered design. So it's all there under one roof, and there's something going on like all the time. Yeah.
And there's like a little museum walk.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you walk, right?
Greatest hits.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So there's that little museum walk, the greatest hits. And I always said that if the state of Rhode Island and Massachusetts wanted to increase its inclusion in the STEM program, you should take every single pre-K up through sort of 12th grade and make them go through there once a year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we mentor companies and students, and it's very inspiring. That's actually what caused me to join the company. I came, I toured, and I'm like, there's so much going on in the variety, because it's always cutting edge technologies, from device diagnostic, but a lot of wearables, a lot of digital surgery, robotics, of course.
There's a lot of expertise out of there with that.
Yeah.
So what's got you here at the conference? So you're looking for technologies, partnerships, customers, all the above?
Oh my God, just to get out of the house. No, I am just thrilled on many levels to be here. This is one, but no, I remember coming to this conference last year. It was phenomenal. I mean, it's all the people we work with, all that ecosystems here. So strategics, of course, which are like about 60% of our business, and then all the startups, but we also work with investors and partners too. Alira Health, all our friends are here. So it was so nice. I'm moderating a panel, What VCs Want, and it's highly relevant, So I got the opportunity to speak with each one of them, because I'm like, have your metrics changed? What are you looking for now? What's changed? And so we're going to have that conversation tonight in the evening panel.
Something I noticed right after JP Morgan last year, everybody refers to that in our industry, March of 2020, there were two camps. There was a fork in the road, and that fork in the road was after everybody sort of took a breath in March, April, and May and said, okay, this is going to be bad. Some people just folded their tent.
Yep.
This is from my side.
Yeah.
And then others are like, holy cow, we're never going to get a chance to get the yardage gain for whenever the other side of this occurs. And in search, we had an unbelievable year in 2020, and coming out of the gate in 2021, but with the people who had the courage. Did you see any of that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, what happened, because we have like 50 projects going on at any one point in time, and with a mix, with startups, with strategics, and there were quite a few companies that said, we've got to mitigate risks, we're going to pull back, we're going to watch and wait and see how things go, see how electives come back, and we're just going to sit it out. The other, then there were a lot of startups, as you say, have nothing to lose, and saw the competitive edge, and the technologies that they knew were going to be even more meaningful in a pandemic or post-pandemic setting, because they were digital, because they were moving patients to home care or out of the OR and into an outpatient setting, so forth. So there was such strong conviction, and I remember meeting with Scott Pantel, and he was talking about having what should be the themes for this conference in 2021. And I think I said everyone's going to be sick of talking about the pandemic, and everyone's going to be very interested in understanding the progress of all these amazing startups, investors, and so forth that have gotten things done. And I actually was in multiple conversations speaking with like Scott or Paul Laviolette, their MedTech Convergence Fund, and Scott Hunnekins, and IPOing with many of his
Acutus,
companies,
right?
Acutus. And so I decided to start writing a blog, and because all these folks are, leaning into it and just making amazing progress. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting you bring up certainly Vince and Scott and others who tripled down on this. I think Acutus went public.
Oh yeah, in August. Yeah, in
Like,
August.
and
I'm
didn't
like,
just go public,
I know.
crushed
I'm
it.
like, are you sure? Are you sure about this? Is the timing quite right? I think he told me that, they did pretty much a lot of the work with their bankers and everything via Zoom. I mean, it's amazing what they got done despite the pandemic. There was no real hurdle or barrier. They just figured out ways to get around it. So I'm a big fan, admirer of them.
Well, with Zymedica, you also get to get a peek, and we're both privileged.
Yeah.
We get to see a peek because we work with those really early stage by the dozens.
Yeah.
All the time, coming in the door.
Yeah.
Where do you see things going over the next 5 years? You mentioned a couple of things: home health care,
Yeah.
connected, empowered patient, empowered consumer. Tell me a little bit about what you think it looks like.
Well, of course, like right now, it's like someone turned a spigot on in the whole digital surgery arena, and it's not just the robot, it's the data, and it's everything that provides data, whether it's medication management, whether it's a wearable on the patient that leaves has surgery and then leaves the hospital, to preoperative, postoperative, the whole patient journey. And all that technology is right now in some cases siloed, and there's going to be a trend towards weaving the right data, not just all the data, but the siloed data, connecting it, weaving it all together to deliver better patient outcomes. Because if they can't do that, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it brings up a really interesting model, and I'm waiting for another to come out. So you've got all these companies that are espousing data, or off my watch, off my patient monitoring, off of my compliance to pharmaceutical. But I only see one player out there, Bright Insight, as a cloud-based solution for the startups to dump all their stuff to distribute it.
Yeah.
So who's going to manage all this data?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are going to be part of creating the companies that make this data, but then once we push it, well, where does it go? Who aggregates it? Who keeps it safe?
Right.
Who makes sure the black hats don't get at it? How am I compliant?
Yeah. No, I know, and we have partners with the Mayo, Cleveland Clinic, healthcare centers of excellence like this, and of course, they have access to a lot of data too. So everyone's looking at it, trying to figure out the right solution and connecting all the dots across the whole patient journey. Yeah.
Do you see an indexing towards managing the chronic care, the chronic patient, more than anything else?
Well, for sure. I mean, especially in the home care space, we have a core competency in diagnostics also. So point of care, home monitoring in the home space, and of course, as this past year, just trying to keep people that have chronic conditions at home and monitoring it, managing their condition independently as much as possible in that environment. Those types of enabling technologies are where we're seeing a lot of interest in collaborating with, Zymedica is seeing a lot of that.
So this past year, clearly, we didn't have a choice. Things were virtual.
Yeah.
I also saw more virtual companies pop up than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
And that's got to bode well for Zymedica, because it's almost like it's personalized medical device development, personalized health tech solutions, where I did not believe at scale you could build without brick and mortar.
Right.
So all these ideas are coming up, and they need an engine. So do you see that as an emerging pattern that's going to stay?
Investors are becoming more active in the space, and they have an idea and a partnership with a strategic. They know what needs to be built. They're coming to us to create, in essence, a shell company. And they're a client for ours, but we're helping to hit the milestones to develop the technology so it can be acquired by the large strategics. We're seeing that too. That's a whole other model.
So in other words, I want to make sure I understand this. So I have an investor, a VC comes in, finds an idea, then helps customize that idea, maybe not building a classic 100-person startup.
No, exactly.
And just dialing in what we know the market will likely acquire.
Right, and having a really solid idea of what the strategics want to buy.
And they already know what the ask is for the strategics. So it's really interesting. It used to be, I've got an idea as an entrepreneur or a doc or a startup, I'm going to make it and hopefully there's a buyer. Why don't we start at the buyer's end?
Yeah, yeah.
And then say, we're looking for this, we got gaps in our game here, then go look for the people and then be able to dial it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's not been done before at scale and device.
No, but I mean, with so many of these bigger technologies in robotics or more complex technologies, it's another model I think that they're considering versus a smaller one-off device, you know.
Well, you know, you bring up an interesting point, the robotics space.
Yeah.
You can't be a startup and do robotics.
It's hard. Yeah.
First of all, the capital involved.
Yeah.
Second of all, software, hardware, firmware, robotics, disposables, service installs, ongoing provision,
everything.
digital security. That is $1 billion investment. Look, Verb, I think Google and J&J ended up, by the time they split, had invested close to $800 million in that, and still didn't even come close to bringing the product over the line.
Yeah, yeah.
And so how do you exit that at any multiple?
Yeah, no, I don't have the answer to that.
Rhetorical question, but how do you exit that, right?
I know, yeah.
So, you know, I think that the robot will be left in the big boys, big girls' hands.
Yeah.
Yet they're still struggling right now. We still only have 2 soft tissue robots cleared in the U.S. between Intuitive and Census Transenterics, and you know.
Yeah, but there's everything that goes around the boat robot. You know, it's the instrumentation, the advanced imaging, the navigation, the digital solutions. That's why the umbrella is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's a digital surgery umbrella, and everyone defines it a little bit differently, but that's roughly, you know.
But you can't get a startup to check those boxes at a level of excellence required, and that's why it's really hard to ever fathom a classic startup being able to have all of that expertise because at that level of competition, you look at Intuitive and you look at Transenterics, and I still believe a Census Transenterics is going to surprise people in the next 24 months, just my hunch.
Yeah.
But you've got to check all those boxes at a level of brilliance it's never, you know, sort of been around before.
No, we get involved with a lot of integration, and that's what's going on. There's going to be a lot of M&A activity. There's going to be and we work with a lot of VCs on integration or the strategic ventures when they acquire, and then everything's got to be integrated before it can really be brought in and pulled together, all the systems.
And getting those systems to talk to each other.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Right, and then putting those teams together.
Yeah.
So you have a fun job.
Yeah.
So you're here for the next couple days. Is there anything in particular you're going to have your eyes peeled on, or you're just looking for confirmation?
I am meeting nonstop, and it's great to just catch up with everyone, find out what they're looking for, what they need, who they need to connect with. It's great to be in the center of all of that. I am very interested in the SPAC panel. I just feel like that felt like it sort of exploded in the pandemic year, and maybe it was around before, but it's on everybody's radar. Everyone's looking to better understand the playbook for that. There's a great SPAC panel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Privatera, which is Bob Palmisano's SPAC, and then you have Josh DeFonso at Lux.
Lux,
right?
Scott Hunnekins.
Scott is sitting on there. still to be defined there, right? So yeah, that is going to throw a wild card into venture and into private equity, because it's neither and it's both. So I'm going to look forward to that one too.
Yeah.
I'll have my popcorn and Diet Coke, or
Yeah.
actually my tequila and
Yeah.
pretzel. So I'll be watching.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thanks for taking the time. I know you're super busy.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it too. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. This is Joe Mullings, LSI Conference. Be well.